Righto, something a bit different today. I'm up in the Ross River. Now, anyone who's watching this and wants to come and have a go at the Fresh, the only thing you have to do is get yourself a SIPS permit, which I just bought mine again. I think it's $60 and something cents for the year, for a whole year. But that gives you access for the whole year, so you can fish this place all year round. And for anyone who's familiar with it, I haven't done it for a couple of years. We used to be addicted to this joint, and there's some monster fish in here. My biggest one out here is 131. I heard of a 132 last week. So there's some monstrous barra in here, and anyone who says freshwater barra don't pull has never caught one. So let's see what we can do. I'm just trying a hard body, so I've got a 105 hammer at the moment to start with. I love this colour in this colour water. So let's have a look and see what we can do. Secret with any of this stuff is stealth. You've got to sneak your way up. So I'm actually pulled up a couple of 100 metres away. Because this place does get fished pretty hard, I pulled up a couple of 100 metres away from where I want to fish. And I'm just sneaking in on the Minn Kota. Have a few casts on the way just to see if there's any stragglers. There's a bit of bait moving in that. It's only 3 foot deep where I am. I've got a hell of a storm coming up on me, which is good. That's a good thing. Humidity increases, gets all muggy and all the rest of it. Now the rod I'm using here is it's a Samurai swim bait rod. So this is the 25 pound one. There's a 25 pound, 30 and a 40 pound one. So this one here I want to cast bigger, lightly weighted soft plastics. So that's why I'm choosing this one. They can be anywhere along these lily pads. Night time along here is just insane. Any of these lily pads, whether it be right down towards the other end or right along the sort of mid regions or up the top, they all hold barras. Just drop one then, just jump one off. Let's see if he's out on his own. He wasn't real big, he's only about 65, 70, so. But that's alright, I don't mind. Oop, flash, look at that. And sometimes when that happens, sometimes instead of showing them the same thing, show them something different. Out there. Might hit spot lock here, there's a few fish moving. There's one. Where are you going? Oh, dropped in. Bugger. You want a bad one? Up getting up around that 80, and he was sitting on the outside edge of the weed, so where I was watching those fish move, he was in a completely different spot. I was way out from where I thought they'd be, so that's good. It's always worth checking your hook points too after you've had a hook up. That little Barra scale there, cheek scale, that can stop the next hook up. So you might just do these little pockets in between these pillars of weed. And like, if you're going to try this with a hard body, just make sure that if you're fishing these pillars of weed, that you're using a floating diver. It floats back up, so when you tap it into the weed, you'll sort of stop it and twitch it and let it float back up above the weed before you start twitching it again. If you're going to fish way back in the thick stuff, in the thick weed, that's where the weedless stuff comes into it. So one technique that works really well is if you get along the side of the weed here like this, and you'll work your way through them lily pads and stuff like that. You hit your little clear patches and then slow it down, sink it down just a little bit, and then just walk the dog with your soft plastic or the slow retrieve, what they call slow rolling, I suppose. It's a pretty much a Yankee terminology, slow rolling, but it's pretty self-explanatory. And then come out to your outside edge and let it sink down then. So sinking it down means that you'll get the fish that are up in the shallows, and then you're looking for the fish that are out in the deep. So there's no saying where they're going to be, but it's a really thorough way to work it. Now the other thing is too, in here you can find those deep fish out in the open water like out here, and you can vibe them up. You can hit them with deeper divers, sinking soft plastics. It's a pretty diverse sort of a fishery in here, but surface is my favourite. But I had an 8 o'clock start on the water today, so a little bit late for the surface. I like low light periods, early morning, late arvo. You get these big stands of gumbunji weed and all that sort of stuff. They're nice places too, because all those sorts of things hold bait. Bait can be anything from frogs up in the fresh here, anything from frogs right through to, like your archer fish. And they love eating tilapia. It is illegal to use tilapia in fresh water for live bait. It's illegal to throw a cast net in the fresh water. So remember, there is a few rules to fishing up here. So because I've got a deeper edge here, I'm throwing a TB80 now, which almost completely suspends in the fresh, so I can cast it right onto the edge of those deep lily pads, give it a couple of winds, or sweep the rod tip, let it sit, and then just tap the rod tip. It's important to watch your lure. I just had a flash on my lure, just about where it is there now. Just had a fish come up and sort of turn sideways and flash on it. So, again, wasn't a real big fish. It means that there's active fish here, so we'll just sneak our way along here. You see them lily pads out there on their own, way out in the middle. Those little islands like that, little islands of lily pads and shallow stretches, they're just prime. The barras will sit on the deeper edge around the outside of it and get the bait up in the shallows. Not always there, but they're definitely one of those places that are worth casting at. Little spots like that just stand out from the rest. And then you've got deep bank, and then you've got a shallow bank with weed on it. And that's in the salt water. We talk about those points of difference as well. It's exactly the same principle. You've got that little point of difference that's different to the rest of the bank. Is the Barra sitting there or not? This side of that. Yep, it sure is. Nice one, about 90. Little rat. These are the ones where you see people holding 3 feet out in front of them. There we go. Just hold them 3 feet out in front of them, make it look like an 80. That's good. So that would be one of last year's stocking. About to get hit. About to get hit by a storm. Which is alright, as long as there's no lightning in it. All good. One chasing it through the lily pads there. Just a spot like that. Willing to come back. They are way back in the thickest weed and lily pads. Bloody GoPro keeps turning itself on and off. Now it's got a bit of water in it. little fella. Spot lock him there. He just came out from that. Oi. He just came out from that little log in there. Not a real big one. We're lucky to be 60. 58 maybe. Pretty fish though, eh? Oh, come on. Get the hook out of this little fella. They're the typical freshwater colour. Cool. Wow. That was big. That was very large. Boogie big. A little croc sitting just in there. Little freshie. Little freshwater croc in there laying on that log. You'll see them as we go past. They're harmless, these things. Just laying on the log up there.